Hey guys, Prepper Nurse One here. First of all, I'll give you an update on George. George has a GI bleed, and which is absolutely treatable if he wanted it to be, but he doesn't want any treatment at all. He wants to die. So let's talk about something about that real quick. Okay, first of all, I respect his right to go the way he wants to go. I totally get it. But the fact that death is more favorable than spending the rest of your life in a nursing home. Okay? Now, so we're going to talk about nursing homes today. And I'm going to say that, this is in my opinion only, 90% of the nursing staff are caring, compassionate people. That they really, truly care, because that's why we get into this field. We like taking care of people. We like to help people. So the CNAs and the nurses and, I would say the physical therapist and like that, and a lot of the social workers too, truly, genuinely care with what they do. Now, who doesn't care? Okay, let's talk about who doesn't care real quick. Management, okay? And I'm talking all upper management. I don't care where you are, what facility you work in. Management could give a rat's behind about staff, about the residents. It's all about money, okay? So let's think about the fact that when they have the food brought in for people, the lowest bidder wins. Think about that a second. You've produced the lowest bid. We can give you this food for this much. This is the lowest quality that you can get. That's what they want. The management wants the cheapest way out, okay? These people, in my opinion, that are in these nursing homes should be having their behinds kissed, because the amount of money that it's costing per person per day to be in a facility is astronomical. I mean, astronomical, okay? And I'm going to give you an example where I'm at there. You have what they do, okay? There's two different things that they do, and this is what management does because they could care less. They have mandation for CNAs, okay? So what is mandation? You've just worked your 8-hour shift, you're tired, you're ready to go home. But now somebody on the next shift is called off and there's nobody to replace them. Now they won't use agency because agency would cost them too much money. So what do? They they have a mandation list. So now a lot of times what will happen is if they can find somebody to do half the shift, you're only going to be mandated for 4 hours. So then instead of working a regular 8-hour shift, you have to stay and do a 12-hour shift. But a lot of times they get stuck doing a 16. Now they can't obviously be forced to do more than a 16. But think about this. You do your 16-hour shift. You go home for your 8 hours. And then you got to be back for your next shift, which you could possibly be mandated again. Because what happens is a lot of times, there's a certain number of times that you're allowed to walk on a mandation, and there's a certain amount of times that you can refuse to do it. That type of thing. Now some staff will just always take the lick, and it's not fair to them when other people are blowing it off all the time. But it happens constantly. A good example is the last CNA class that they had come through. There was 16 CNAs that they hired. After 5 months, I think there was 3 of them left, still working at the facility. When you treat your staff like crap, they don't stay. Okay. One of the issues that I see. Okay. Now I'll go on to something else in a second. But one of the issues that I see, they are right up happy at this place. Now anybody can write anybody up. Okay. If you feel like somebody didn't do something right, you can write them up. They have what they call documented counselings and all this type of stuff. So instead of, okay, here's a good example. When I first started, and I never was really trained on my floor because they didn't want me to train with certain people. They wanted me to train with these other people. So I really didn't know my floor when I started. And then as soon as I was off of orientation, And working on my floor, they threw me into rotation. Now, what rotation is if they're down a nurse for the evening shift or the night shift or whatever shift you're working, or day shift even, what they do is they do a rotation. So I'm on my unit, and let's say the unit down this hall doesn't have a nurse. Every other nurse in the facility has to rotate for at least an hour down to that unit to kind of like fill in. Okay, so what does that do? It takes you off of your floor for an hour, puts you on a floor that you're unfamiliar with, and you're trying to do things to get meds passed, treatments done, or if somebody wants a PRN, you don't know the people because it's not your floor, and it makes it very difficult. Okay, and management saves money because now they're not paying for another nurse. Now they can't mandate us because the state won't allow it, but they do allow this rotation. And there have been plenty of nights where we had double rotations and we just didn't have the nurses in the building, and so we got screwed. And actually, you know what, really realistically, we didn't get screwed. Who gets screwed in the end? The residents get screwed, and that's not right. So here you have burned out staff. You have CNAs working on a regular basis 12 and 16-hour shifts because they're forced to. And so they're overtired, they're cranky, they're exhausted, because being a CNA is no joke. It is not an easy job. I don't care what anybody says. I worked as a CNA for 5 years before I became a nurse, so I know what that work is like. And it is not easy work, okay? And then you have your nursing staff who's pissed off and burned out because now we're rotating. And we would rotate, in an average of 5 days, we would rotate 4 of those days. Now, the facility is saving a ton of money. So the upper management is looking like, wow, look at all this money they're saving, the county and stuff like that. That's great. So probably he's getting a big old bonus while they're burning out their staff, and they could give a crap less about their staff. That is an issue. Now, their whole write-up thing is also, to me, in my opinion, a major issue, because here's my thing, okay? Now, 6 months of being there, never wrote anybody up, not one time, because I believe that you treat human beings like human beings. If you made a mistake, okay, say you're my CNA, and you've made a mistake and you screwed up, instead of writing you up, what I'm going to do is your supervisor, is I'm going to say, come on in here, we're going to sit down and I'm going to talk to you like an adult, and I'm going to say, listen, this is what you screwed up. You got to watch this. Don't do it again. If you continue to do it, I will write you up. Now, the thing is, that's treating somebody like an adult, okay?
Yeah, human being, not a human doing.
So that's how I believe that should be handled. And here's the thing: is if you have somebody making major mistakes, then yeah, you have to write people up. Now, one of the major mistakes that happens because of rotation for nurses, there was a lot of med errors, a lot of narcotic errors, because people don't know the floor, they don't know the residents, and the mistakes were made. Like there was one gentleman that he got 2 pills every, every 6 hours. He would get two of these medication. I won't say what medication, but there was a mistake made, and a nurse only gave him 1. Well, that's a med error, and that's But the thing is, realistically, it wasn't her fault, because she's not familiar with the residents. They're in a hurry. They're rushing because now you got to try to get your work done on your floor. Plus, now you're off your floor for an hour on another floor. It's absolutely ridiculous, And again, like I said, management don't care. They don't care about staff. They don't care about the CNAs, the nurses. They just don't care. And and you get a lot of the RNs. Now, I had 2 supervisors that I worked with directly that were absolutely awesome. Okay, and then you had other RNs that on a constant basis would try to talk down and belittle people. Well, they didn't do that to me because I ain't taking that crap. I'm an adult, I'm a grown man, I'm not taking anybody talking down to me or thinking that you're better than me because you have an RN and I'm just a lowly LPN. Well, I'm a lowly LPN that's been an LPN for 22 years, so you're not going to talk down to me and try to belittle me, because that just doesn't fly. Not in my book, it doesn't. And I know a lot of people took it, They have very high turnover at this place, really, really high turnover. Which, and the thing is, it's not just this facility that I'm at now. It's at any facility that I have ever been in. Your smaller nursing homes, not so much, but your bigger nursing homes, it's all about, and actually in all of them, it's all about the money. The bottom line is the money, okay? But when I worked down at this other place that I was at, it was a smaller nursing home. It was a more family-oriented type of environment, but it was a very small place. It had 2 floors, period. So we had first floor and second floor, and that was it. But now, like I said, here, working for the county, it's all about the money. It's not about the residents. They could care less about the residents. They could care less about the staff, because the thing is, these people deserve the best care that they can possibly can have. They deserve staff that's not burnt out. They deserve staff that's not running around like a chicken with their head cut off doing rotation day after day after day. Okay, so that's my rant on that. As far as, like I say, with George, making that decision, think about how awful that is, that the alternative, that death, is actually better than living the way he's living in a nursing home. These people come in these places to die. They know they're coming there to die. I deal with death. That's my job. So, and here's the sad thing, with that you become callous to it. So it's like anything else, you get used to it. It's not that big of a deal. And that sounds terrible, but it's not. Because you see it all the time. So they come in, you watch them decline, and then you watch them pass away. It's sad, is what it is. It's sad, and it's not easy ever. It's never easy. But you have to insulate yourself in your own way, to protect yourself, because it's not an easy job. I love what I do, and I always have. And with George making that decision, it's just, when it's somebody else's family member, when, it's a resident that I'm taking care of, and I can go, well, okay, whatever. And here's the thing that I always did in my own mind to justify the death that I deal with, okay? When it's an older person, I've always said, hey, they had their time, they've lived their life, it's okay. You know what I mean? They've had their life, it was their time. I could never do pediatrics like cancer kids or something like that, when 1 in 5 of them will not make it. That would tear me to shreds. I couldn't do it. I'll be honest, I couldn't do it. I would be a freaking mess. And God bless the people that can, because that's one I couldn't do. I couldn't do that. Oh, no way. But anyway, so I wanted to do this video and give you an example of what these facilities are like. If you have the option to keep your loved one at home, do it. Because, you know what? It's like, and here's the thing is, when you're dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia, it's very, very difficult. When they don't remember who you are anymore or what's going on, that's really the time to put them in a facility, because they don't know. They don't have any idea at that point. George has been progressively getting worse with his dementia, and it hasn't been fun to watch, but he's still with it enough to know that he'd rather be dead than live in a facility. And I get it. I totally get it, and it's not an easy thing. And it was hard on my mom, taking care of him at home, and it got to a point where she couldn't do it anymore. And, you need to have somebody there that can do it. And, not for nothing, but neither one of his kids stood up and said, hey, I'll, jump in here and help with Dad. They didn't do it. So, what are you going to do? Anyway, it's, like I said, if you have that opportunity and you can keep them home as long as you possibly can. It's better to die with dignity than no dignity, I can tell you that, okay? So, thank you for listening. Please comment, like, share. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. This is definitely a topic that can really open a whole can of worms, I can tell you. And I would love to hear what you have to say. I know a lot of nurses watch my channel. Please give me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, because, this is definitely, this is a tough subject. It really is. And, It's very difficult when somebody has to put their loved one in a nursing home. And and here's the other thing I will say, before I close on this. You have either one extreme or the other. You have family that's there all the time and are involved, or you never see them. And they'll come around for Christmas and Easter, and that's it. Woohoo! Here we are for our loved one. Those people make me sick. They make me sick because they don't care. Because you'll never see them the rest of the year. They put on a big display at Christmas and Easter like they give a crap. They don't care. Okay? They don't. I will say white people treat their old people the worst, and Asians treat their old people the best. In all my years of working in a nursing home and facilities, one Asian person was ever in one of those facilities. And guess what, folks? His family was there every single day. They were there every day. White people, we throw away our old people like they're garbage. Like they're garbage, okay? Blacks generally treat their old people much better than white people do, but white people are the worst. They are absolutely the worst. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. Again, tell me what your thoughts are on this video. And please like, comment, and share again, like I said. And remember, hug and kiss the ones you love, because tomorrow's not guaranteed, folks. You never know. And I will talk to you guys later, okay? Prep and Nurse 1 out for now.